This is Secretary Evelyne Goldsmythe speaking. You've reached the office of Evelyne Goldsmythe. How might I be of service to you today? Hi, I was hoping to speak to Miss Goldsmythe. Is there any way you could put me through to her directly? It's rather urgent. Oh, I'm sorry, she's out for luncheon. Oh, I see. Do you know where I might find her then? She's probably at home, opening the door. Removing her coat, setting her bag on the table, entering the kitchen, putting her hair up, boiling water for a cup of tea, and then it'll probably be rice and curry for lunch. She's a bit neurotic when it comes to meticularity. She won't like being disturbed at this hour. Please, it's rather serious. I need to talk with her now. Does she have a number at home I can reach her at by any chance? Yes, I suppose I can give it to you. Hello? Oh, thank goodness you've answered, Miss Goldsmythe. You see, I found myself in a rather odd situation. Well, I mean, it's really quite personal. I am speaking with the Evelyne Goldsmythe, am I not? This is she.
Hey there, friends, enemies, and newcomers. Glad to have you here with us today on Goldsmith's Corner. As promised, today's video is 15 questions with Evelyne Goldsmythe, and I don't want to keep you guys here too long because, as you can see, the video is already quite long on its own, so let's jump right into these questions, and I hope you enjoy the video. What are 5 things that make you happy? I really love cats. Journals. I love to write. I love to document things. I love a good journal with just a pretty cover, as you guys can see. Oh, I love tea. Tea makes me very happy. I have to have at least 1 cup a day. I have a bit of a caffeine addiction because I'm quite partial to black tea. I love to spend all my free time in my own mind, just fantasizing about different things, thinking about the future, thinking about the past, writing ideas, video ideas, things I can do for my friends. Oh, and number 5, which should have actually been number 1, I think it's most certainly my faith. I'm a Christian, and I really love sort of praying and reading my Bible and spending time sort of learning about my religion and studying theology and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, those are 5 things that make me pretty happy. What's your most embarrassing moment? I'm already hating on myself for what I did. I had finally come back from Spain in 2022. It was Christmas time, and I had not seen a lot of my friends and people who I consider family in a long time. And I went to a Christmas service that my church does every year. And so I had been so excited to see people I hadn't seen in so long that I was just suddenly in this bubbly, sociable, extroverted mood to just say hi to everybody that I had ever known, which is very unusual for me because I am 100% through and through a bit of an introvert. I had seen this woman from the back and had thought that she was my old Sunday school teacher who I had really liked, and I had been thinking about her. My childhood best friend Adrian was with me, and he was like, Evie, don't do it. Don't do it. And the thing about him is usually when he says not to do something, he's wrong. But this was around the time that he actually started low-key being right about things. And I fully admit I should have listened to him because the way I bounded up to this poor woman, tapped her on the back and almost like tackled her with a hug, only to realize she was not who I thought she was. Girl, the amount of awkward silence and embarrassment. Needless to say, after that, I was not in as social of a mood anymore. I wonder why. Okay, next question. What's a non-political hot take of yours that you are willing to die for? The current propensity of Gen Z to wallow in the past as well as nostalgic memories is something that actually makes us more self-conscious and selfish than it does make us self-aware and successful. I've noticed online that there is definitely a trend amongst us Gen Zers to look at the past through this rose-colored glass lens that isn't entirely truthful or healthy for us. Gen Z's sort of propensity to aestheticize and romanticize past eras, past decades, past versions of ourselves, former relationships, former anything and everything is something that in one way is quite charming, healthy, and I think rather cute, but also something that I feel like keeps us from being in the present and also moving forward to the future. I feel like it's creating this deep unrest within ourselves and with our current state in the world and just our relationships and our friendships and everything that we are and everything that we're doing because we're so stuck on a past that doesn't even necessarily really exist. Really something we need to do a lot less of. What's something you've read lately? This summer, I was really hoping to get to finish and catch up on all the reading I feel like I've really missed out on for the last 2 years, just because junior and senior year are typically the most important years of your high school career, and they can be really intense and stressful, and mine certainly were. But I actually have not been doing as much reading as I had hoped to, mainly because the books that I was sort of in the middle of and hoping to finish are currently in a box packed away in California. But the last couple of books that I finished up that I really, really enjoyed were probably Being Lolita by Allison Wood and My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I had sort of taken it upon myself during my senior year to do an independent study, I guess you could say, on the power dynamics between men and women, specifically in the context of older men taking advantage of younger women from a vantage point of them being in a position of power over them. And I had watched the documentary on Hulu, Keep This Between Us, that follows the experiences of several women who unfortunately were coerced by male teachers and abused in inappropriate relationships with them. One of the women they interviewed who wrote the memoir Being Lolita was Allison Wood, and she had sort of told a little bit of her story. And so one of the things that this horrible man had done to take advantage of her, shall we say, was giving her the book Lolita and presenting it to her as an ideal. So she sort of took that idea in her memoir and flipped it on his head because she was, in a sense, his Lolita. It's a fantastic book. I cannot recommend it enough. Obviously, if that's something you're triggered by, I can't recommend that you read it. It has a lot of descriptions that are very hard to sit through about SA and, that sort of thing. But if you find yourself, wanting to better understand what it's like to be a victim in that situation and really grow your empathy towards people in that circumstance, I think it's 100% a book that you should really consider reading. The other book that I mentioned that I read and really enjoyed, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, is such a intensely powerful fictional narrative, I believe partially based off of her own experiences and the experiences, I'm afraid, of many others, whether subconsciously or consciously, of being groomed by a teacher, being coerced into an inappropriate relationship with a teacher. Miss Russell just does a phenomenal job of really showing the way in which a victim is gaslit and conditioned to believe that they are in power in that situation, and just the way that that carries on with them throughout their life. And the fascinating thing about My Dark Vanessa is that her story takes place during the Me Too movement. And so she brings in a lot of social commentary and, questions and conversations that we're still having today post Me Too. And I think it's just phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. And I think the third and final book I'm going to bring up in this video was a book that I actually didn't get to finish reading, but was really enjoying. The Diaries of Sophia Tolstoy by Sophia Tolstoya. She's the wife of Leo Tolstoy, if you're not aware, who, as we know, is one of the greatest writers in classical literature. If the name isn't ringing a bell, he wrote War and Peace, he wrote Anna Karenina. It's a really, really dense and rather large series of diary entries that detail so much of her life, Tolstoy's life, her children's lives, the lives of her siblings and her parents, but also it details things that are going on in Russian history from kind of her perspective. And so, as a bit of a history nerd, and especially as someone who really likes Russian history, I was eating it up, you guys. I just absolutely loved it. I'm so sad that my copy is in California right now and not next to my bedside table being devoured a little bit daily, but I am so excited to sort of get that book back and finish it off. What's been your biggest life lesson so far? You'll never regret being who you are more than you'll regret pretending to be something you are not. When I think about what I've learned in the last 18 years, and trust me, it has definitely been a journey to remember with a lot of ups and downs. I am extremely grateful for all of the phases I've gone through in life and all the things that I have learned through the mistakes that I have made. One thing I think that I do poignantly regret from time to time is how many times I would be ashamed of who I was because I felt that it would be uncomfortable for other people. And I think through that's where I kind of learned what I said. You'll never regret being who you are more than you will regret pretending to be something you're not, because when I learned to be comfortable with who I was and I just kind of showed up in spaces, other people responded to that in a much more positive way than they ever did when I showed up as something that I wasn't. As hard as it is to sometimes be in spaces where people don't really get you, like they just don't really care to know you for who you are, they want to make judgments more than they want to be caring, and they might try to make you feel smaller. It's also important to remember that there are people out there who do appreciate you and would appreciate you for where you're at. You sort of have to just figure that out by trial by error, I guess, and just learn to be confident, because life is too short to not be who you are and to not have your own beliefs and to not express them in a way that can help other people, and to just exist as half of a version of yourself because you're afraid of everything you might lose and everyone you might make uncomfortable by being what and who you are. You'll always gain more and love more and experience more by just accepting yourself and sort of growing into who you're meant to be. What's your current life motto? There was this particular 2-week period my senior year of high school where I basically went to my English class one morning and I had a really bad panic attack. And I mean, I had had panic attacks before. I think I started having them in 10th grade, probably after COVID. I didn't really have the language for it at the time, and so I was really struggling. I didn't really know how to talk about it or even express it to the people closest to me or my parents or other adults, because I just thought I was imagining it. By my senior year, I'd kind of figured out what it was. And after this specific panic attack, after all these really bad instances of basically being flat on my back, ill, and, getting really behind on homework because of that, I had an absolute and total breakdown. And I just could not will myself to get out of bed and go to school. And my mom indulged me in that for a while. And finally she said, Evie, you just need to get up and go back to school because you need to get this degree. And I was like, oh, Mom, you just don't understand. Like, you're just being mean. But my mom was right. And so there was just a lot of mornings where I would wake up feeling absolutely and totally emotionally and mentally drained, and also physically ill and unwell. And the only way I was able to get out of the bed in the morning, besides praying, was to tell myself, do hard things. And I would kind of sit up in my bed. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to choir. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that, because my choir class was 6:15 twice a week. And I would just say to myself, do hard things. And I would get out of my bed and I would have my clothes laid out the night before. And I would look at them and I go, I don't want to put that much effort into my outfit today. So I would go over to my closet and grab a hoodie and some sweatpants and call it a look, call it a fit, and just get going with my day. And I would look back at my bed and I would tell myself, okay, 8 hours and we're back to you, babe. So, me and my bed had a very, very, very loving relationship. my senior year of high school, because all I did my senior year was go to school and sleep and do my homework and go to tech rehearsals. Yeah, that's my life motto. Do hard things. If the whole world were to hear you say something, what would it be? Your life has a purpose. You are loved beyond measure. And even though life may be rough sometimes and you feel like you have nothing and no one else to live for, keep going, because you deserve to see everything you're meant to become. What are your pet peeves? Whoever asked this question, I love you so much. I love you so much because I love to complain about things I hate. Okay, I have a list. When people who don't know you try to tell you about yourself, someone who is religious, okay? From my perspective, I have to treat all people with equal respect. I have to love them regardless of how they treat me. However, there are some individuals who have specifically a habit of wanting to insert themselves and put themselves in positions of authority that do not belong to them. And one of those groups of people is the type of person who wants to tell you about yourself, but has never taken the time to get to know you or even have a decent conversation. But for some reason, they feel that they just know so much. They are just so insightful that they have to come and tell you their opinion about every little thing you do, about things you say to people who they don't even have relationships with. And it's just like, ew, get over yourself. When people always have an excuse for why they should not be accountable, there are some people who I don't know if they are just incapable of exerting self-control. I don't know if they really think that they are so important, that they are above accountability. But there are some individuals who, whenever you go to talk to them about something that's bothering you, about something they did, they always have an excuse.
I'm sorry that I said that, but like, you guys just don't understand how unhappy I am in my everyday.
I don't care. I do not care. That's not my responsibility, babe. That is never going to be my responsibility. I understand that you may be having suffering, trauma. There are things that are causing you external stress. That doesn't give you permission to take it out on me or anybody else. Everybody has their problems in life. You are not special. You are not uniquely suffering more than the average person. So I really need people to stop using every little crisis, every little bad feeling, every little sneeze, cough, or sniffle as an excuse for why they cannot take accountability for their actions and the way they hurt other people. When people get mad when you choose to stand up for yourself, some people just really struggle to understand that you do not have to submit yourself to being abused by them, and it shows. And it shows. Those are just some of my pet peeves. I think a lot of you guys probably share them. Put it down below in the comments. What are your pet peeves? Let's be haters together. Yes! Okay, next question. Where do you find inspiration? I think I find inspiration all around me. I find inspiration from the physical spaces I take up, like this house, for instance. Unfortunately, due to circumstances out of my control, I am losing my childhood home, and I am also making a video about that. So is it a loss if it gave me an idea? That remains to be seen. If you guys watched the full intro video I did, I have been basically running that idea in my mind for months and months and months now. And my inspiration was sort of just the physical space that I've taken up for the last 9 years of my life. I get inspired from my friends and my family. Obviously, I love you guys so much. They're all wonderful people, all geniuses in their own right and way. And they just always are giving me ideas by being who they are, fearlessly or trepidatiously. And I love being around them. I get ideas from external sources like, YouTube or books that I'm reading or music that I'm listening to or movies and TV that I'm watching. As much of a, I guess, stereotypical, like kind of almost manic artist that I sometimes come across as, I'm really not. Pretty stereotypical person. I just find inspiration from everything that's around me, and I try to look at everything, take it all in. Okay, now go and create. What's your favorite movie? So some of my favorite movies are The Group from 1966, Tar, the Amazon original movie, Spanglish, the rom-com, Everything Everywhere All at Once, anything Christopher Nolan, Kalank. It's a Indian film. I'm half Indian, so I love watching Bollywood. I was raised on Bollywood. Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham is another one. Kal Ho Na Ho. This is a TV show, but I'm going to say it anyway because I love it so much. Hiramandi. Oh my god, I love that TV show. The movie and the TV show One Day. Guys, if you don't know about One Day, listen, we cannot be friends. Do you feel music connects us? Why? I do believe music connects us, and I think it's because music is something that exists in every culture and every context. Wherever you go in the world, you will find some form of music. I always think it's amazing how a song can impact a person from a country or culture that they're not originally from. And even if they can't fully understand the words of a song, they can understand the meaning of it. The story the singer is telling, whether it be through the cadence of their voice or the cadence of the instruments or whatever it may be, they can sort of just connect with it and understand the meaning of it. And so I do definitely think that, yes, music connects us. If anything that I just said makes sense, I don't know if it did or not. What's your favorite song and who are your current favorite musical artists? Recently, some artists that I absolutely have loved listening to more of because their perspective is just so unique and so reflective of who they are as people is Boy Genius. Another artist is Chaperone, who I feel like is bringing a certain je ne sais quoi to the music industry that we have been missing for quite a while. Another artist that I love and always will love is Shawn Mendes. Fun fact about me, the first male singer that I ever went goo goo gaga over was Shawn Mendes. I listened to all of his albums in a single day when I was around 12 or 13, and I've loved him ever since. And of course, there is my British queen. I love her so much, Adele. I love Adele. I can never stop listening to Adele. If Adele has no more fans, I am no longer alive. I love Adele. I think if I keep talking about the music artists that I like, we're gonna actually just be sitting here all day. So why don't I just make you guys a playlist and link it down below with all the songs and singers that I really, really like and enjoy. We'll call it the official Goldsmithians playlist. What's your ideal date? I'm probably gonna get flack for saying this because I've noticed online this for some reason is a very controversial topic, but I really like the idea of, just going to a nice little coffee shop somewhere, getting a cup of coffee, talking intimately for anywhere from 45 minutes to 5 hours, and then going on a walk somewhere and maybe stopping at a bookstore along the way, or, deciding to stop and smell the roses. I don't know. I don't really date that much. I'm not really a dating type of girl, and I'm not into things that are going to be too extraneous and require too much emotional and physical energy, and I'm just going to be really annoyed and exhausted after doing them. I would much rather sort of do something calm and laid back and chill, and then be able to come out of that level-headed in a realistic state of mind, not a rose-colored glasses one, to sort of assess what's going on here. And go from there. What colleges did you get into? I got into, on conditional acceptances, Keele University and University of Manchester. Unconditionally was accepted to University of Exeter. I was accepted to Cal Lutheran. I was accepted to Sacred Heart University. I was waitlisted for University of San Francisco and Marist. I was going to apply to a lot more schools, but in the end, it kind of just ended up being a massive inconvenience for me because I was pretty sure after I looked at one specific university and received a conditional acceptance from them that was the university I really wanted to go to. And Keele University was the university that when I was first researching going to the UK was the one that had really stood out for me because I really liked their program and syllabus and just the atmosphere of what the college appears to be. So yeah, I'm committed to go to Keele University. Would civilization be better off if the internet had never been created? This is such an interesting question to sort of ponder. I'm going to have to say no. The internet has done a lot more good than it has done bad, namely because, number one, it has given us the power to connect with more people and keep relationships for longer periods of time. Number two, we have a lot more access to needed information for saving lives, understanding ourselves, understanding other people, understanding other cultures, understanding other contexts. Number three, the internet is just cool. I guess you could argue that to all of the things I mentioned, there's like an other side to it where like, yeah, we keep relationships for longer period of time, but at the same time, it's also given rise to things like dating apps, which has harmed our ability to have close relationships with people and meaningful ones. Yes, it's given us access to getting to know more people and different people, but it's also overwhelmed us with how many people we are expected to know and keep in contact with. Yes, the internet has given us more rise to having knowledge about topics, current events, and all of those sorts of things, but at the same time, we are now constantly overwhelmed with information. We don't know what to do with it. There's now a very, very big misinformation crisis. Media literacy is in the trash. And to my third point, yes, the internet is cool, but it's also like really dark and people sell organs on here and internet bad. And I mean, yeah, I think those are all valid criticisms as well. And it's something I consider quite often myself. The internet is, to our knowledge at this time, not a sentient being. It is created by people and it is a tool that is utilized by people, and all tools can be used for malicious and evil purposes. Hold ourselves accountable for the way we are utilizing those tools and learn to take accountability for how we have misused it, how we have allowed ourselves to be controlled by things we're supposed to be controlling, and learn to use the internet for its purpose, which is information, connection, and also it's just kind of cool. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today on Goldsmyth's Corner. I know originally it was supposed to be a 21 to 25 question video, but as you guys can see from the two different outfits I'm wearing, I filmed on 2 different days and I did some editing in between, and I was like, this video is going to be literally 2 hours long if I do all 25 questions, and we're not going to do that to the viewers this early. I had a lot of fun with this video. I hope you liked it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Coming up on the channel next, a fun little house tour / video essay, finally reflecting on my appearance on Jubilee, and finally finishing my after series a year after I started it. So I hope you'll stick around for that, and definitely let me know how you feel about this video in the comments. Love you guys and see you next time.